The leadership of this nation, under my stewardship, has been in continuous deliberation to elaborate a robust framework to deal with what has become an existential threat to our republic. I guarantee Kenyans that my administration shall respond in the severest ways possible to the Garissa attack.
That's Uhuru Kenyatta, that's Kenya's president, vowing retaliation following the brutal murder of 147 students at the Garissa University. Welcome back to America's Forum. I'm Rick Blackwell, filling in for J.D. Hayworth alongside me, Miranda Khan. Boy, Miranda, the tragedy in Kenya, it really continues to focus and illustrate the threat against Christians around the world. Now, according to reports, the attackers, they separated Christian students from the Muslim students, and then they just massacred the Christians.
They did. They would ask that question, are you Muslim or Christian? And if you said you were Christian, they'd shoot you right then and there. Rick, this recent attack has pushed Kenya to launch airstrikes in Somalia, striking al-Shabaab targets. The terror group, of course, claiming responsibility for those attacks. But is it enough to curb that growing persecution of Christians in that part of the world? That's the question everybody is wanting to answer.
And the person that can give us really kind of some information about the background of this area and what Christians are dealing with is retired Lieutenant Colonel Sargis Sangari of the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement. And Sargis, welcome back to America's Forum. Why is Christian genocide becoming so prevalent in this region?
Welcome. Thank you very much for having me back again. Well, I think it's become prevalent because we're allowing it to happen at a political level. And that's not to speak about it negatively. It's just to point out the fact that they're being killed and we're not really injecting leadership in the region saying stop. And that's a decision that has to be made at the political level to be able to get direct money and support in order to be able to have these guys have the capability of fighting back against the bad guys.
This has been by far one of the biggest attacks done by al-Shabaab, if al-Shabaab in fact carried out these attacks. I know they're claiming responsibility for that, but al-Shabaab has been basically pushed out of a lot of those big cities and mainly just in rural parts. So how are they able to commit such a heinous act?
It's a matter of having the networks on the ground that allows you to do that. It is not that difficult. And if you don't have security forces on the ground that are going to be able to detect those networks, penetrate those networks, stop those networks from operating, then they could do it easily. And that's an issue that Kenya has to deal with at the local levels. And a lot of those networks are tied to economic reasons why some networks are allowed to operate in certain regions.
Thought Pope Francis had some interesting comments during the Easter service, and he was saying the world cannot look the other way when we're talking about the attacks on Christians. What's it going to take for the worldwide community really to come together and to do more to fight this?
Well, look, I cannot will somebody from inside and say you have to care about what's happening to the Christians. The death of the Christians downrange does affect us in the future. Because right now, if you allow it to happen, you're owning this fight. And as an example for us, for the Syrians that are being attacked and literally being annihilated in the Nimrud province, plains, and also as 39 of their villages were overran in February in the Khyber River Valley. If you own that, then you have to ask the question why you own it. If it is nothing more than because you want to tie into at the highest level to certain actors and players within the region that are going to make you viable economically and sustain you, then that's basically what you're saying to the world, that I'm more interested in my own economic sustainment in a region than what happens to women being sold into slavery, children being executed. And if that's the type of footprint you want to have, then that's how you're going to be viewed for the rest of the time over the next 40 to 50 years within the region.
What do you think is fueling all these terrorist groups like al-Shabaab, al-Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS? What do you think is fueling these groups, and why are they targeting Christians so much?
Well, the problem is, as you saw Easter weekend, the Pope deal with the message. We have multiple different groups of, Christians out there, very different denominations throughout the entire world. But when the Pope speaks, everybody understands he speaks on behalf of Christianity. And we had the Vatican, of course, which releases documents that speak on behalf of Christianity. That doesn't exist in Islam. Saudi Arabia is trying to be the lead for all the Sunnis. Iran's trying to be the lead for the Shia Turkey is trying to be the lead for all the caliphates that came before it under the Ottomans. The Egyptians are trying to become the main spokesman for all the Arab nations. Because there's no such figurehead in Islam, everybody is fighting to be able to establish that figurehead, because that figurehead also will bring economic support for the networks that they've been operating in within the countries that they're trying to establish in.
Colonel Sargis Sangari joining us right now. You work special forces in Iraq and Afghanistan. Is it going to take more of a militaristic solution? Do you think that something short of boots on the ground would actually would be enough to fight back this threat against Christians?
Well, you have to have it. Look, from the Syrian perspective, I will tell you that Syrians have asked for $5 million to be able to put a 10,000-man force on the ground. And they've only asked for a couple of SF-teams to be able to support that force with training. Now, if they're willing to put their own boots on the ground, which means that we don't have to introduce as force, we have to consider supporting them. You have a Christian force on the ground, been fighting there since August. Nobody knows about it. They've taken the fight to the enemy, and they've asked for $5 million. The reason why the Near East Center for Strategic Engagement started the United Assyrian Appeal.org site was specifically to get money to the families of the Assyrian servicemen that are currently fighting against ISIS within their region. I think what happens at the political level sometimes, they get so much information that it's hard for them to make the decision. Maybe something this simple would help alleviate all our issues. But they have to be willing to support them, and the Christian Assyrians have asked for a self-governance within their own region, and that might be the sticking point that why U.S. may not be coming in to support them.
If you were going to advise President Obama on the situation there, make one suggestion, what would it be in the 30 seconds we have remaining?
I would say right now you're being looked at as being aggressive and supporting Iran in the region. And don't make decisions which are tied to our economic issues and that are going to be stability to China. I think the nuke issue was mostly geared towards bringing economic stability for China, and the reason was because most of our mortgage securities are tied into them as they bought them in last July.
Thank you so much for joining us on America's Forum. We're out of time. We'll have to go now to a Newsmax Now national weather update.
This Newsmax TV weather update is brought to you by eVoice. Simple, affordable, better. Taking a look at your weather across the country this morning in the Northwest. Lots of rain from a low pressure system pushing off the West Coast. Northern California getting a little rain, but unfortunately, Southern California very dry. Fresno, even over into Flagstaff, no rain for you guys. It's all happening in the north and the Midwest of the country. Hot in the plains, near 90 there, but look at that, Missouri and surrounding states getting a lot of thunderstorms, including the southeast is going to get some rain. But we've got some warm air pushing up from the Gulf, making South Texas the place to be if you want to hit the beach. Well, like I said, look at that in the southeast. Tennessee Valley getting lots of thunderstorms and showers there. And even though it's spring, the Northeast, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, you guys are still getting some snow. Go out and build a springtime snowman for me. Here's a look at your national weather.
Look at all those spring showers.
I know, opening day baseball for a lot of cities today, hoping the weather will cooperate. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I know one thing for sure, we've got a great political panel. It is straight ahead.
They're not going to cooperate at all. I'm sure it'll be interesting.
That's the good thing, that they won't cooperate. And there could be some great discussion straight ahead right here on America's Forum. Have a great day.